Ever wonder about what witnesses do on Steemit? Curious to know what projects and initiatives are in production to make your time on Steemit more productive? This is the podcast for you. Your co-hosts, Andre and Shane, will talk about witnesses, what they do, what projects they have in development, and what concerns about the blockchain and Steemit.com they're focused on. They'll also invite the men and women who run witness nodes onto the show to discuss their roles, responsibilities, and goals. Welcome to the State of the Witness. Steemit Incorporated, the writer's block, and their respective owners take no responsibility for the opinions or statements made by the talk show hosts or their guests. Statements and show topics are not necessarily the beliefs of the writer's block or of Steemit Incorporated. The material on the State of the Witness webcast is provided for educational and informational purposes only. Welcome to the second episode of the State of the Witness. As always, I am Anarcho Andre, a witness, aspiring author, and overworked law school student. And I'm joined, as always, by Shane. Shane, the man, Shane.
Hey guys, how are you? As everyone says, I am Shane, also known as Abuse Boy in here. The Blame the Shane campaign is based on me. And right now I'm witness 71, effective witness number 66. And besides bending knees, I just do a lot of nonsense.
The rain on Shane falls mainly on the plane.
The blame on Shane falls mainly on.
Oh, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing okay, doing okay. How about you? Well, I just asked that. I was about to go into a story. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I got back from a charity golf tournament that my law school put up. It was a lot of fun. I found out I can't golf worth a shit, which I already knew beforehand, but it was nice to have confirmation moving forward
Oh
that
man,
I cannot golf at all.
I haven't been golfing in a couple years. I love to golf. Love, love, love it.
I'm going to have to figure out how to golf eventually because that's apparently what lawyers do. Lawyers and successful people golf.
Yeah, there's only one trick. The only trick is to go out there and play. The more you play, the better you get. If you can break 100, you're better than about 80% of the people that play the game. So it's not too terribly difficult. The pros are well above anything you'll ever get to, but if you can just stay under 100, you'll be an asset to any team you have. If you're doing like um, oh, well, I just forgot the term where it's just the everyone shares one ball basically.
Oh,
Those
scramble,
are
yeah.
yeah, scramble. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name scramble, but yeah, if you can shoot under 100, you'll be golden in a scramble.
Well, that's good to know. I guess I'll have to pick it up. Anyway, you said you had a story you wanted to talk about, so we'll go with that.
Yeah, no, I was just going to talk about my week a little bit and uh, just a lot of work, and then our cat continues to need the vet every week. So I was just rushing home about 10 minutes ago, trying to make sure I got here in time. And with my little cat in tow, and well, fat cat, he's 20 pounds. So that's been about it. Besides that, it's been a pretty bland week as far as excitement and stories go.
Fair enough. I did notice that a lot of people got moved way the hell up on the rankings the last 24 to 48 hours.
Well, there's been a couple really nice things to see. Patrice, who is part of the Steam Cleaners crew, started their witness just over a week ago, and they're well up over 10 gigavests already. I believe Patrice is a girl, and she's doing quite well, if I'm
Awesome.
correct on that. And then NetUoso, which a lot of people may remember from MSP. Um, he got a nice proxy vote this week, which helped quite a few people out. So that gave me quite a jump myself. So he got a 1.5 gigavest proxy from Transisto, and yeah, that made my day when I saw that.
That's awesome. I'm always happy to see people succeed, especially Patrice. Patrice is, like Shane said, a member of Steam Cleaners. Steam Cleaners is the premier anti-spam and anti-plagiarism service that we have for Steemit. If you guys are ever curious about how it works, you can go to steemit.chat, and they have their own room, Steam Cleaners, And if you have anything that seems like it's plagiarism or is spam or anything that like raises your suspicions, you can drop a link to them and let them know what's going on, and they'll check it out. And if there's something there, they are exceptionally effective at dealing with plagiarists and spammers. I mean, they are top notch.
They're absolutely fantastic. And actually, grab this real quick. They have their own Discord also, which
Ooh, do
is
they?
real nice. Yeah, I'm going to drop that link here real quick if I can hit my buttons combination correctly.
Definitely. I'll also include it in the show notes page as well, so everybody has it. I didn't realize they had their own Discord server.
Yeah, they just started it maybe about a month ago. A lot of these services are starting to go away from Steam Chat, and they're starting to see the power of having a Discord channel where they can actually separate things, and it's a little bit more organized. And they're doing quite well. Cheetah is over there. If you ever have any problems with Cheetah saying that you've copied something from the internet, you can go over there to see if you can get on a whitelist. Steam Cleaners is over there. You can also drop links for abuse there also.
Actually, that's something I want to mention because Steam Chat has been around since Steemit.com has been around. But man, oh man, since we switched to Discord, it's like night and day. Steemit Chat it's good for what it is, which is not much, but Discord is a far superior service.
Oh, it's not even close. You go over to Steam Chat, and within a half hour, you'll pull out all your hair. Um, Discord, you know, Discord does have some disadvantages, but overall, it's head and tails above what Steam Chat is.
It also doesn't eat up a ton of RAM just sitting there. That was my biggest complaint about Steemit.chat. If you leave Steemit.chat open and running and just doing its own thing, it'll eventually eat up memory. It'll continually increase the size of its buffer.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So they got themselves a little leak going on, huh?
Yep, and that's been the case since as far back as I can remember.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that at all. That's inexcusable this day and age.
I want to say it's a problem with Rocket Chat. I think it's a problem that's internal to the way that it operates. I don't think it's the Steemit Chat specifically. But again, if you use that carrier to try and host a chat service, you should know better.
Yeah, and actually, Steam Chat is the first time I've run across Rocket Chat. I haven't been in too many chat rooms like that before. Mainly, everything before this had been on like Facebook groups, which again, advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, to me, Discord, um, and to a lesser extent, Slack are pretty good options.
All right, so before we came on, we were talking about people getting some pretty massive upvotes from a user account called Pumpkin, and that was a number of friends of ours. But you had some you had some negative things to say about specific things. I don't know if you want to get into it, or do you want to mention it, or
I don't know if it's necessarily worth because I don't know I don't know Rival, so I don't wanna make it sound like I'm slamming him because I don't know the man. So that's probably not a good thing for me to do. Um, I was just sort of surprised that that big a vote, went to a person that just started it and just recently made a post saying that they were in this for themselves. So I was sort of taken like that didn't compute in my brain. Um, that being said, I was extremely happy to see that Dracos got the other vote
oh yeah, that was awesome. I was so happy about that.
because yeah, as if you ever go check out Steam at Chat and go into the Witness, you'll see how much Dracos does for the Witness community. It's unbelievable. Like I said, if there's one person I tell people to vote for, it's going to be a toss up between Tim Cliff and Dracos.
Yeah, both of those guys are just phenomenal. For those of you guys that aren't familiar, Dracos pretty much does everything. Like if he's not in Witness, he is in the help channel, actively helping users. And if he's not doing either of those things, he's coding and coming up with different things to make witnessing and exploring the blockchain that much easier. And Tim Cliff, if he's been handling account issues with signing up accounts for months and months, and he is just absolutely fantastic.
100% agreed. 100% agreed. Yeah, everything when you talk to Tim Cliff, he's as helpful as he can absolutely be. If he doesn't know, he tries to point you in the right direction to someone who might know. That's the kind of person that we want on Steam it. And yeah, he's an absolute. As I like to say, I usually say it sarcastically, but he is definitely a bonus to the organization.
And one thing I wanted to bring up because it's happened recently, steamit.com, and that's my dog outside being a real pain. You know, this is after she ate shoes, after she ate my daughter's shoes. But steamit.com has been updated. The interface has been updated. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
I'm not sure if that's really an update or just more of they just changed it around a little bit because it's yeah, it's not too pleasant looking on the eyes, is it?
I actually preferred it the way it was before because now the author sits on top of all of the rest of the post information in feeds, which is just strange. That doesn't look right at all. Oh my god, you
I
fucking
agree.
dog.
And while that is being said, I have a new link for everybody. So the one of our other favorite, or at least one of my favorite, I don't know if they're yours, they probably are. Um, Follow BTC News and Dracos just launched a alternative to Steam it,
They
and
did.
yes. So let me get that link real quick and go ahead and do some chatting real quick while I get that set up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can't wait to check this out. As I'm sure many of you are aware at this point because of all the issues that Steamit.com has been having, I'm sure a number of you are familiar with busy.org and their interface. Um, Personally, I think busy.org is far and away a much better platform to access the Steam blockchain and to do posting and writing and all the rest of the stuff. It's got some quirks and some things I don't necessarily like all that much, but compared to steamit.com, it is, it's miles and miles better. But I'm going to check this Go Steam out because if it's made by Dracos, if Dracos had a part in it, then I know for a fact it's good stuff.
Yeah, it is a it's an almost an exact mirror of the style before they just did the UI change.
Did they do anything else with the condenser or
I don't know all the details. I know that they are still considering themselves in beta mode, but Agro did put a post out today through it, and it went up just fine. So it seems to be working. I don't know if the wallet options are there. I haven't had a chance to go through it myself yet. They just dropped it maybe an hour ago, and like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at it, but it looks pretty solid from what I have been able to see.
taking a look at it now because I just pulled it up in my browser. It looks just like steamit.com. I mean the new updated UI for steamit.com.
Oh, so they did update it. They were I know they were chatting about whether they were going to or not. So
I will say this though, one cool feature is on the feed page, it has a little icon in the top right corner that changes how the feed is displayed. So like on busy.org, it displays it kind of similar to the way Facebook does, where it's got like a main image and then the text is underneath the image. And it'll have the author, right on top in small text. And you can swap back and forth, apparently, with GoSteam.
oh cool. And yeah, negativity, you're right. The beta
Oh
that
man,
Busy
this is
has
so
is
much better.
phenomenal right now. That nd.busy.org. It's fantastic. I use that to do all my posts. I still use Steemit to do my wallet transfers and everything like that, just to do quick checkups. But if I'm doing any posting, I'm definitely going to Busy.
Yeah, that seems to be the big thing is steamit.com is where all the transactions happen. Well, actually, no, I take that back. You can do it through busy.org, not through the beta, but through their other UI.
I'm sorry, Andre. You kind of cut out on me there. Wasn't able to hear you completely.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was saying you can't do it through the beta. You can't access the wallet through the beta, but through the regular UI, busy.org, you can use the wallet just fine. Oh
Hey,
my
yeah.
god.
Oh, cool. And then Sun Ravel Me's here. Hi, Sun. She says she's a total tech noob. Can someone explain how busy.org works? Basically, busy.org, if you think of the blockchain as the pages of a book, you can think of web pages such as Steemit or Busy or Chain BB or the one we just dropped, Ghost Steam, as the book cover or maybe the dust jacket on the book. It's just a little bit different on the outside, but when you open it up, all the same information is on the inside. It's just a different way to look at the same blockchain. So busy.org is just a different way to access the blockchain. You'll use your same keys, your same passwords to get into it, and it functions. There are some different functions on there that aren't on all of them, but for the most part, what you need to get done is on Busy.
I will say this: the one thing that I really, really like about busy.org is their messaging system. They have a built-in messaging system similar to Facebook. The only drawback or disadvantage is it's 255 characters. They really don't have like a whole lot of space to write, but at the same time, it's not bad. It allows you to instantly communicate with people. You don't have to like try and stalk them down on Discord servers or do whatever.
Hey, now let me ask you a question because I don't know the answer to this. Is that a side note of the actual app, or is that being stored on the blockchain also?
No, that's through the app. That has
Okay,
nothing to do with
great.
the blockchain. That's strictly through the app.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Some people have been asking me on that, and my point was I'm not sure you want your private messages on the blockchain. But yeah, if they're not going through the blockchain, that's perfectly cool with me.
I am liking GoSteam.com. It is working super fast.
Yeah, they have their full RPC node that they're running it on, and it's been rock solid ever since they got that up.
Oh man, this is awesome. Like I mentioned before, anything that involves Dracos is bound to be a good idea, and this looks like it's solid, like absolutely solid.
Yeah, when after the show's over, I'm going to get all my keys transported over because I don't believe they're going to let me log in with my the way I have it set up now. So I'll have to get all that in there and take a good look.
Likely not. Another nice thing is in the right hand corner under links, it has my blog and my wallet, so you can go to either or right there and then set up. The one thing I wish they would have introduced, and I wish they would have put in there, which Busy does have, is it has separate feeds for re-steams and for your own blog.
Oh, see, now that's nice. Uh, that is a feature that, yeah, I'm gonna like that when I see that. Sorry, at the same time, Negativer put up a post, and Negativer, I did read this, and he just dropped a post in the chat here. Um, our friend Clayboyne did a little research on how much are you paying to post, and that is talking about without opening up, if I remember. Oh shoot, what's the name of the Twitter style access to the blockchain? I forgot the name of that.
I don't know, but I know eSteam does the same thing.
Yeah, so eSteam, I believe. Oh, why can I not think of the name of this? This you can tell I'm prepared, can't you?
Oh,
Um,
of course.
yeah, Zapple. That's it, Zapple. And talking about it automatically takes a portion of your rewards um, from your posts. And how do you feel about that?
I I don't know. I'm kind of ambivalent about it because, like, on the one hand, yeah, I'm not really fond of it, but at the same time, I mean, it is a separate system and it was developed and designed by people, so I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm kind of ambivalent about it. On the one hand, no, it's not good. On the other hand, well, it's they are providing a particular service above and beyond what Steam and Inc. is affording.
Yeah. So, sorry, I'm looking at the chat at the same time while trying to listen, and as I'm getting old, Andre, my brain is starting to fail me. So, yeah, I know what you're saying. They take 15%. DTube robs you with 35% since
Yeah,
that
DTube
hunk of
is just
shit doesn't work
absolute
to begin
bullshit.
with.
Absolute bullshit.
I've never seen anything get released to such fanfare that doesn't work in my entire life.
Yeah, DTube, I've had nothing but problems, and I had every intention of posting every video for every podcast that we were going to do. From way back in when we were on MSP still, uh, straight to DTube, so that way we could, integrate DTube into Steemit and like promote that as well. And yeah, that was just absolute garbage.
Yeah, I think the second week of the Shane and Muxie show, I attempted it, and we were doing at that time, it was almost a 2 hour show. After I took out, I think, a song or two I played, it was maybe an hour 45, whatever, but it never did upload. I left it uploading all night, and it never went through. So I finally tested it with one of my wife's videos, and a short video, maybe like a 2-minute video, and I couldn't get the damn thing to play. Um, Tried it again, I don't know, maybe a month later, and still same problem. So yeah, DTube, not worth it. Now D Sound seems to be pretty solid. Have you used that yet?
No, I haven't. Can you tell me about that? Because I haven't even heard of that.
Yeah, it's sort of like SoundCloud, where you can upload just audio files, and the same idea that the audio files are saved on the blockchain through the same process that DTube uses. But from what I've seen, it's pretty solid. It works, and it might be just because it's not storing that all that extra information with the video. Um, but it seems pretty cool to me. So I want to give that a shot. I think on the next just audio only thing I upload.
Okay. Well, that's awesome that we have something that works as a sound service at least. But yeah, DTube is just terrible. I after I tried to upload one of the Fictioneers podcast episodes on there, it didn't work worth a damn. It uploaded just fine. I mean, it eventually got there, but once it got uploaded, nothing. It did not work at all. No matter what I tried, no matter how many times I tried to, go and fix something, which I mean, you really can't fix all that much through DTube anyway.
Yeah, and then I didn't like the fact that they automatically added DTube to all of your tags.
Yeah, that was a pain in the ass. That really got on my nerves because my post then, after I had to go back and correct it for DTube's utter failure to load the video, I couldn't adjust. I mean, you can't do anything with the tags really. You can change them afterwards, but
Yeah,
it's already filed where it's going to be filed.
right. The first tag you cannot change. The next four you are able to change them, but at that point it's sort of like just sort of waving at the wind. It doesn't really do much.
Yeah, because the maximum exposure you're going to get is really going to have a lot to do with the first tag that you put it in. So, like all of the fiction writing that we do, story, fiction, and writing should be what the tags, the tags that you're using, and you can alternate between them, and just to kind of change things up a bit and make sure that different audiences are getting exposed to what you're writing. But those three, if you try and be more specific than that, chances are you're not going to get the same exposure.
And going back, I'm looking at the chat again. So Unravel Me is asking, um, in reference to Zapple and Steam, that how do they run if they don't take a cut? And exactly the same way that everything else runs. They make their posts and they make their money off their posts. If you have a solid product and a really solid app that works well with the blockchain, anytime you put out a post, you're gonna get a $500-600 payout on it. If you
Oh
look at
yeah.
some of the big names on there, they make their posts, and that's where they can make their money. They don't necessarily need to take a cut of the user, um, because they can still provide that themselves just by putting out quality updates almost every day.
Yeah, and if you look, I think she was referring to busy.org and asking how they run without taking a cut. And I mean, if you look at the people that have funded the development of Busy, there's plenty of money there. They are very well funded.
Oh yeah, now that I read that, I can see where I can see where I misconstrued that. Yeah, so yeah, my I think my point still stands for the other thing though.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
stick
no,
with
no, no,
that.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, one of the top paying, like one of the ways to get a top paying post is to write about how you're developing a toolkit or some sort of utility or something else to help people utilize the blockchain. I mean, that's like hands down the easiest way for you to make money is to be a developer or be part of a development team.
So let me, that leads me to a question for you. You are a writer, for the most part, on Steemit. Um, how do you feel about the technical end? still getting all of the love on the blockchain compared to all the other niches that are out there.
I don't know. I mean, on the one hand, this is a very technical project, and this was started with that in mind. And a lot of the oldest users on the platform are crypto guys, they're tech guys, they're developers, they're coders. All of the like, Dan Larimer. But at the same time, I would like to see that kind of diffuse to more varied subjects, which I think. Oh my God, dog! Which I think in one way, I think it's actually started to expand a little bit. I mean, you see a lot of travel posts, and what is it? Gringalicious has consistently high post payout. I mean, it's not in the several $100 range, but it's consistently high post payout for recipes and cooking. So I think it started to kind of expand and work its way out from just technical work, but I would like to see it expand further. I mean, I would like to see my fiction writing eventually reach the same level that Alex Bayman, who is one of the guys I follow and is a prolific writer, I would like to be on this same level.
Yeah, and I now that you say that, I think I have noticed it start to spread a little bit, or maybe I'm just ignoring all of the tech posts compared to when I first came onto Steam it. But I just saw something by Merodian in here. She says, "Problem is, you married a musician," and I'm not sure if she's talking to me or if she's talking to Negativer. So I just need to clear that up real quick because she's right either way. Talking about not having any money because we married musicians.
Well, I can't say anything about that. I didn't marry a musician.
And don't. If you ever get a chance to, don't. So, what has been going on with you this week for your witness? Have you had any good stories, any good excitement happen to you?
Well, I talked to Lexiconical, and I responded to his post. He does a whole series about highlighting witnesses, just going down the list and talking about the different witnesses, what they do, and what they're involved in. Who they are, just giving a general idea of what's who's at the helm witnessing blocks, right? And he said that he's thinking about voting for me, so that's a definite plus. And I've moved up to witness spot 83, 84, I think. So I'm making my way up, and I'm getting support behind me, which is nice. The one thing that I like, I mean, I do like moving up in terms of vest numbers, but in terms of my voter numbers, I'm almost to 100 votes behind me. So that's a really positive thing for me. It means that
Nice.
that means that people are actually noticing what I'm doing and are approving of what I'm doing and how I'm spending my time. So that's good. That's a positive notice.
Now, before my computer blew up and I lost all my files, I was doing a show on MSP Waves that I do on Tuesday nights with Kubi Elizabeth. And that was the same day that the whole Jerry Banfeld thing went down. And Lexiconical was in the audience and asked if he could come on and have a talk. And were you able to hear that at all?
No, no, I was not. I wish I could have, but no, I was not.
And he made some good points and um, very well spoken, very well thought out points. I didn't know it at that point that he writes all of Jerry's posts. All of his witness posts are written by Lexiconical.
I did not know that either. That's interesting.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, what we were yelling at Jerry for not knowing about add-on Steam or any of the other services to get accounts, it's highly plausible that he didn't know because he didn't write any of that. So I don't know if that's a plus in his book or if that's a minus. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, maybe he didn't know, so there's that, but you should know. So, but Blake's kind of real nice, and I asked him. I wouldn't say I went real hard, but I didn't shy away from the questions. I did ask if he was getting paid for it and how it came to be, um, and he gave the answers that yeah, he is compensated. Um, but yeah, he was a real nice guy to talk to, though. Um, so yeah, if you get that, he's got his ideas, he's got his points. Um, but it was good to see someone that came on and was able to actually defend and explain it a little bit more to me. And I was pretty happy about that.
Well, actually, while we're on the top of Jerry Banfield, he receives a lot of flack, and deservedly so, because he does some pretty scummy things. The $180 for how to set up a witness was scummy. Him trying to launch an account service charging an exorbitant amount of money was scummy. I mean, regardless of whether or not Lexiconical actually ended up writing the piece, he's the one that came up with the idea, right? I mean, I don't
Right,
think
right,
Lexiconical
right,
just kind of came up with it out of his own head. I doubt that.
right. I
Uh,
agree.
but that being said, and Lexiconical actually mentioned this in his post, and I've seen it on Jerry's post as well. He spends a ton of money pushing Google ads for articles and web pages that talk about Steemit. So, I mean, I, I have numerous disagreements and reservations about the way that he does business and conducts himself in a number of different situations. But on this point, I really have to give him credit because credit is due for how much money he invests in advertising Steemit. I mean, he really does push the platform.
One thing real quick, Uni. No, I have talked to Lexiconical voice to voice. Lexiconical is definitely a man. I will definitely a man. Now get back to your point, Andre. I need to see some of these ads because we talked about how Jerry is, and I need to see, is he actually trying to push the Steemit platform, or is he advertising himself on Steemit, which is a little bit of a different idea, and I'd like to know what he's doing.
That's very true. And actually, Lexiconical's witness highlight post, "Meet the Witnesses." I'll get you a link if you don't have it already, or if you can't find it, I'll find the link for you. But it actually has the Google AdSense, or I think it's AdSense, but it has all of the figures broken down by how much, what he's spending it on, where it's going to, and the article that was featured was a Wired.com article talking about Steemit and about the blockchain and about blogging on Steemit. So it wasn't a link to one of his YouTube channels. It was actually a link to an independent, respectable magazine that was talking about Steemit, and he tried to push that to get that as many views as possible. So that's what I was talking about. Where I do have to give him credit for that.
Cool, cool. And I'm still reading. They're still arguing. And I did the same thing, Uni. I thought Lexiconical was a girl, was a woman. And the reason was there were a couple times that someone had pointed out that he was a woman, and he never did correct them. Um, so he just let that go in the middle of the conversation. So it just sort of clicked in my head. Oh, okay. Someone mentioned female, so Lexiconical's female. No, he just didn't correct them. Didn't seem the reason to. So I'm back on that. I'm back and forth between what's going on in chat and what you're saying. Sorry about that.
That's fine. So am I. I'm half in, half out. That's all right. Um, that's hilarious that Lex never corrected anybody about being a dude.
Yeah, yeah. We actually talked about that on the show because I was kind of surprised when I heard a male voice. I'm like, oh, okay, and I went right into the whole explanation.
I just want to apologize to everybody listening to the show. I know we said we were going to have guests on the show. Unfortunately, I couldn't get into contact with anybody within time to get them on the show, but I'm definitely going to have a guest, somebody other than me and Shane, for you guys to listen and talk to um, next week. So we'll definitely have somebody on next week.
Yeah, I've had a couple people ask me within the last day about being on tomorrow. So, or tomorrow for next week. So, yeah, I think we won't have any troubles with that.
Ooh, really? I can't wait to ask you who it was.
Yeah, yeah. After the show, I'll let you in.
All right, that's awesome. Sorry,
Eh,
I've spent time being a co-host on a podcast for quite a long time. And then, I help host the Fictioneers webcast, but this is the first project that I've launched myself. And Shane, I just want to say thank you again for being on here and helping me with it, and being my co-host. I'm really honored to be here on the show with you. But it's awesome when when people that you would like to have as guests take an interest in the work that you're doing and ask to be on. Like that is an awesome feeling.
it really is. We get that for Shane and Mux every once in a while. In fact, we need someone for tomorrow on Shane and Mux because Muxie's got his head in the sand about getting to Portugal this week, so who knows what he's doing? I know he's listening. So, but yeah, it's fun when people come up and say, "Hey, I'd like to be part of this," and you're like, "All right, I'm actually doing something that people like," and that it really is a good feeling. And I'm just happy you invited me along with you.
Are you kidding me? No, nonsense. You're like the best person to have on here.
Keep going, go on.
Well, I mean, despite the fact that we blame everything on you, you are in fact a terrific person. You're a great guy. You're very thoughtful. You have integrity. You're honest, and I could go on and on and on, but I think that'll suffice.
We still have a half hour or so. You can keep going.
what time is the Shane and Muxie show tomorrow?
We had talked about doing it early, and um, I still need to settle that up with them. But I think we were talking about 1 p.m. Central Time, which is 2 p.m. Eastern, which would make that about 6 p.m. Muxie time, I believe. 7 UTC, if I do the math right in my head.
Well, I was gonna ask if I come on, but I'm gonna be at work then, so unfortunately, no luck there.
What are you doing working on a Saturday?
Making money, sort of, not really. I
So,
get
so
stuff
what do
for
you?
free.
So, what do you do while you're in school?
I listen to teachers lecture sometimes, and then I answer questions. I don't know what is school normally.
See that's a Shane answer right there. No, what sort of work are you doing while you're in school?
Okay, well, basically, as far as the school stuff goes, I mean, I have 5 classes a week, and usually on Mondays and Wednesdays I have 3 classes, all of which are an hour and a half long. Tuesdays and Thursdays I have 2 classes that are both an hour and a half long, and then Fridays I just have 2 classes. But while I'm in class, usually it's we'll cover the material that we were supposed to read, and all the cases that we were supposed to brief. And for those of you who are not aware about anything about the law, briefing cases basically means taking the court's decision and turning it into something that's like just a page long, as opposed to like 6 pages of a judge on and on and on and on, just rambling. Um, and then we're asked questions from that. We're taught to analyze that and be able to respond intelligently about the legal issues underlining that. And either most of the class is prepared and the class goes smoothly, or most of the class is unprepared and the professors get irritated, and you can tell when it happens. When I'm not in class, I work 1 day a week at a vaporizer shop, a vape shop, and I do that mainly because I've been working there for almost 2 years now, and because I vape, so I need stuff for free. And the easiest way to do that is just to work 1 day, because that's like the 1 day they need me there. So like that's fine. That's a great trade off. Plus I get $80.
Now, see, I was doing some stuff through, what was the name of that website? I can't remember. Fast Tech, and they have a ton of vape stuff on there.
Yes, Fast Tech has
And
a ton of stuff.
and I was thinking about building one. I enjoy a good hookah every now and then, and vaping may be a way to do that when I don't really want to pack a bowl for the uh, for the hookah and get all that nice juicy flavor going.
Right, pack a bowl for the hookah. Sure.
No, absolutely. I'm as clean as it gets, except for the occasional beer.
Right. That's why you're packing bowls. Got it.
Oh my. That's just great. So anyway, Unravel Me, you were asking about how you can see who your proxy votes for. I just dropped a link in there. That Steam Liberator link. You can go in there and put in the person's name who you proxy for, and that will bring up a list of everyone that they're voting for. So that witstats.steamliberator.com, and that was built by NetUoso, and it's been a pretty handy tool to use to see if you're voting for someone that's voting for you back, or if you're voting for someone you can see who's voting for dead witnesses through there, and it's pretty handy. So give that a check, and you can see your proxy votes for.
The other utility that I use is Steemian.info. I'll put the link out there in just a second. Dracos runs it and operates it, and it's a really fantastic utility to explore the blockchain, as well as having a really interactive and very informative witness list as well. So there's wit stats, and there's also Steemian.info. So there's a couple of different ways you can get to it. I'll drop the link here in just a second. I use Steemian.info because of how much more information I get from it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've been using that quite a bit more lately myself. Um, the one thing I do like about Steam Liberator is you can put in someone's name and see everyone they vote for immediately.
Yeah, that is an awesome feature.
Now, what I do like on Steemian.info is you can click that little box right next to the witness name, and it brings up a list of all of their voters. Um, and that's just a phenomenal thing to see. You can see how many gigavests that voter has, all the way down to zero. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, it doesn't exclude minnows that have less than 1 million vests.
And that's amazing how quickly that site loads for all the information that it's gathering.
Yeah, that was always the one thing that I didn't really like too much about the Steam Liberator is every time I tried to load it, it always took a while. Like it felt like it was trying to work through something, which I guess makes sense because it is loading. It's loading a fair amount of information. But Steamian, I don't know, is always loaded much quicker for me.
Cool. So what got you into vaping? How did you find yourself working in a vape shop?
Well, I used to smoke, and then I didn't want to smoke anymore. So when I was in the army, one of the guys in my unit, he vaped, and so I'd been familiar with stuff like blue e-cigs for a while, and I tried them, and they were pretty terrible. And so I just went back to smoking because it's more economical, and I got more out of it. But then I started trying to like actually get vape, get a setup, get a cartomizer and a tank and everything, and it worked really well. I didn't completely quit smoking because the device I had really wasn't satisfying enough. But when I came off of active duty and I came back to Alabama, I found a vape shop nearby. There's actually the vape store that I work for is the one that I went to, and I got a really decent setup, and I have not been back since. I mean, it's been fantastic. It's been really easy to use, and the whole reason I started working there was because I needed a part-time job. Well, I needed a full-time job actually because I didn't have anything going on, and I was taking my classes online at the time to get my bachelor's degree. So I had plenty of time left over. So I asked for a job. I got a job just on the fly. I just happened to ask at the right time. And I've been working there pretty much ever since. It's a really great place to work. Super laid back. I mean, I have more than enough time to write Steam It posts, do homework, write books, or write short stories. It's easily the most laid back place I've ever worked at.
Nice. See, the one problem I have used a vape before, but it never gave me that throat hit the same way that cigarettes did, and that's why I don't think I ever latched onto it.
That's because you haven't been talking to me, old boy. I can get
Oh,
you
here
set
we
up.
are. Here we are. I got a hookup now.
Stick with me, baby bird. I'll make sure you get fed.
Very nice. That's what I like to hear.
What about baby birds and being fed?
Exactly. I like me some food.
Oh, what else? What else? I didn't have anything on my mind to talk about. I really didn't. The only thing that really came to mind was the Steam at UI. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to eTurnerX for his witness vote. That bumped me up several spots, and that was awesome. Thank you very much. I appreciate the faith you have in what I'm doing and who I am and how I'm running things. So I very much appreciate it.
Have you got to talk to eTurner X much?
Only in passing because I don't ever seem to be around when he's around, which makes me sad.
Let me tell you, that is one sharp dude. eTurner X is one of the sharpest guys that I've run across on Discord since he came on, and he knows his stuff. He really knows his stuff. Um, he does some slight. I wouldn't want to say that. I don't want to say that he's part of the inner workings of MSP, but he's sort of on the sidelines and does quite a bit for MSP, but doesn't want to get involved on the inner workings. And when you talk to him, boy, he's got some ideas that are just phenomenal and out of this world.
See if we can get him on the show at some point. I really have to just be online more often. Going back to law school, I spend like when I get home from class, I do homework, I do reading, I do case briefs, I go over my case briefs. It's depressing. And if I'm not doing
Hey,
that, I'm watching my daughter. So
oh, I didn't know you had a daughter. Maybe I did know you had a daughter. How old's your daughter?
she's gonna be 4 this December, and of course you do. I mention her all the time.
I know it's one of those things where as soon as I said I didn't
It's
know,
one of
I
those
remember
things where
you
like Lex
mentioning.
Lex was a woman until he wasn't.
Exactly. Hey, so here, I don't know you very well at all. So, we're getting to know each other on the show more than any other time. So, I know nothing about you. So give me a rundown of who Anarcho Andre is.
And I'm gonna keep it that way. No, no, no. Okay, well, so I live in the United States. I guess I'll just start there. I live in the United States. I immigrated from Romania with my parents in 1992. I've lived here ever since. So I grew up in the States. I grew up in California for most of my life. That's where we moved when we immigrated to the States because my uncle and aunt lived there. Grew up there, left California for Alabama when in 2010. So I was 22, 23, I think, something like that, 23. Um, and I've been living here ever since. I enlisted in the Army in 2012, served about 4 years, was honorably discharged. I was a paratrooper, very proud of that, and I was also a cavalry scout, which again I'm also very proud of. I've been an amateur writer for as long as I can remember. I've always really been interested in writing literature. I used to run and be involved in a lot of text-based online role-playing games, and a lot of those are where I developed my ability to write and ability to, my vocabulary, my grammar, and all that. Um, I don't know. What else do you want to know? I'll answer any questions. Ask me anything. AMA, man.
Oh, AMA, and I wasn't prepared. No, that's pretty good. That's sort of the thing I was wondering. It's like, who am I talking to here? We're doing a show together. I'm not really. I
My
need to
name's
know more.
Bertha.
And see, on the other show that I do with Mux, it's like trying to pull teeth to getting information out of him. I'm really enjoying the fact that you are like, yeah, this is what I've done here. This, and this. Boy, this is nice. This is real nice.
I've always maintained that being an open book is a lot easier than trying to keep things away from people because if you try and parse information out, you never know who's going to tell who what, and stuff that you might want to tell one party will eventually be learned by other parties that you may not want to have that information. So my philosophy is if everybody knows everything about me, then nobody can ever say anything embarrassing about me because I've already admitted to it.
And I'm just giving Mux trouble. He's in here in the chat. So, you said you emigrated over. You said you were 2 when that happened.
No, I was about 5. I was about 5 when that happened. I was born in '87 and we immigrated in '92.
So, do you remember much about the immigration, or is that sort of a blur? Because that's right on that age line where you may remember bits and pieces, or you may not know any of.
Well, when I came to the States, I didn't actually know any English, and I do remember some things. Like, for example, there was an earthquake on my birthday, and I remember having to run downstairs because we lived, I think, on the 5th floor in this communist concrete apartment block because that's what the communists did. They demolished all these really nice uh, antebellum housing units and buildings that were in Bucharest at the time, which is where I was born. I was born and grew up in Bucharest, the capital city. So we lived in a concrete housing block built by the communist government. If anybody's read any of my political posts, you'll know that I absolutely despise communism in ways that most normal human beings can't fathom. But I do remember some things like that. I also remember very vaguely, but I have images in my head of when I was about 3, like 2.5, 3, or it was like 2.5 because I was born in May and this happened in the winter in like around December. I remember cutting my hand open when I was just like a toddler, and it was in the snow. I was walking around and I fell and I cut my hand open. My dad was watching me at the time, and I remember that and a couple of other things, just little things.
Yeah, it's one of those where I have those snapshot memories of that age, and I didn't know because something like immigration to me would seem like it would be a big enough deal that would stick with you. Um, and I know this is just a weird comparison, but I remember I'm old enough to barely remember. I think I was 4 when Elvis Presley died, and that's I know it's a weird correlation, but that was so much in the news, um, that I have little bits of memories of seeing the newscasts when that happened, and I didn't know if that carried over for you also with the immigration.
Well, there is one thing that I do recall very clearly, and anybody who's kind of familiar with the interplay between the Eastern Bloc and the Western Europe, in '89, in December of '89, the communist government of Romania fell. So they were basically ousted. We were the only country, the only Eastern Bloc country that had a violent revolution where there was actually shooting and people died in the streets. But the communist government fell, and they actually executed the dictator Ceausescu and his wife on television. It was televised, and I
Oh,
remember
wow.
seeing that. I remember seeing that, and my parents have told me that like right around that time was when I started talking. Because prior to that, I just like said a couple of nonsense words, just a couple of gibberish words I repeated over and over. But at that point, I just started talking like normal talking.
Oh, wow, yeah, it's one of those things that growing up here, and I guess if you I'm sort of, what's the term I'm looking for? I'm sort of
A
annoyed
soft
by the
American.
I'm sort of annoyed by the United States by how much we were insulated from what you would consider real news, that I have no concept of what you're talking about and being exposed to that as a kid, so that it's such a foreign concept to me that still trying to wrap my head around it just a little bit.
I just the one thing that sticks in my mind was sitting in the living room and watching the TV because we had one small TV. We weren't particularly wealthy. We weren't, and pretty much nobody was unless you were high up in the party at the time. But I remember sitting around this small TV that we had in the middle of the living room and watching with my parents or with my mother because my father was on a business trip. I think in the north of Romania. I don't remember where exactly it was. He's told me before, but I remember sitting with my mother and my grandmother and a couple of other people and watching in the living room and watching this happen on the TV screen. And it's funny because you can still go to Bucharest and you can still see. Um, I don't know as much anymore because they've been remodeling a lot of buildings and stuff down there. But you can still see buildings where there are bullet holes in the the upper areas over by the ceilings, the roofs of these buildings, these large multi-story buildings, where people, civilians, were shooting at government snipers. And I say government snipers because the army turned on the regime within like a couple of days. Like within 48 hours, the army was on board, and they were trying to out the Securitate, which was the secret police. We actually have the we have the dubious honor of having the most brutal secret police of any Soviet country, including Russia.
Wow. Yeah, see, this is unfathomable. So, do you still have family over there? Have you been back?
Yeah, I've been back a few times because my grandparents, both my father's parents and my mother's mother now, because her father passed away more than 10 years ago. It was a while back, but we still have family over there, and they go over to visit sometimes. I've been back a few times, like 4 or 5 times.
So, what's that like for you going back? Do you have anything that calls to you to I know you say you hate the government, but do you have anything that says this is where I need to be, or do you feel like the United States is where you should be at this point?
I have a very strong connection to it because I've taken a real interest in the culture and the background and the history of where I came from. But I mean, I'm an American through and through. I don't speak Romanian. I'm sad to say that because I would like to speak it. It's an awesome language. I don't speak it, but I'm an American through and through. I speak English better than I understand Romanian. And while I do have a strong connection with that place and seeing these different places and where my parents grew up and where my parents went to college and where they met people and had their lives, um, I'm still I'm grounded in America. This is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, and I'm just reading Negativer's comments here. All of this stuff he's never heard of, and yeah, there's that's what I was talking about with the installation. That this is a lot of stuff that none of us have ever heard before. So I just find it utterly fascinating and scary at the same time.
Yeah, it's amazing how much really wasn't. I mean, from what I've understood, from what I've gathered from going to school and talking to people that are several years older than me, have gone through public school. Everybody understood that the Eastern Bloc was like, oh, well, those are just like Soviet satellite states. They're just puppet states. Okay. And that was the end of it. And then when the Berlin Wall came down, oh my God, the Berlin Wall is coming down. And that was the end of it. And there was very little information or very little interest in the individual revolutions in every other country that was behind the wall. I mean, you had Poland. Poland, in my opinion, was the most famous of them. They had the largest anti-communist movement that you could ever see in the Eastern Bloc. Like Russia actually sent tanks into Poland in the 50s to put down a rebellion.
Wow, that's crazy.
And most people don't learn about that. I know I never learned about that in high school or elementary school or anything.
Oh no, and as you're getting older, you're probably learning more about all sorts of things that you never did learn correctly in public school. I think.
Yes, hence my name.
So, what are your feelings? Are you an Alabama guy or are you a California kid at heart?
Oh, I'm Alabama. California sucks dick.
Oh
If
wow!
not
Oh
for the fact that
wow!
my parents lived there, I would love to wish every day that it would just slide off into the ocean and just cease to exist.
Ooh, bringing some of that Eastern Bloc violence over with you.
I
What's with this?
Well, okay. Number one, the government that runs California, the state government, is atrocious. Like, I don't know how many people are listening, what their particular political leanings are, but I am a very, very conservative person, politically minded. I mean, I have anarcho in my name, so I'm an anarcho-capitalist. But their government is by far the worst. It's almost as bad as New York. I think it's actually probably on par. They're worse on some things and better on some things, and New York is also worse on some things, better on some things. But California is atrocious. I used to joke that the only good thing about California was the coast, the fact that there's an ocean there, that there's a ton of classic cars there, and that I know some people that I like. That's what I used to joke about.
What about the weather?
Who cares about the weather? The weather is not reason enough for me to suffer to live there. You know how much my parents pay for a mortgage on a house that is like dingus? It's like a 1,400 square foot, or I'm sorry, it is a 2,000 square foot house, and it's 2 stories, and they
Oh,
have
they're
a
probably
garage. But
they're
it's tiny, tiny little backyard. The only reason why it has that much square footage is because it's 2 floors, right? It's 2 stories. Um, they pay almost $4,000 a month for that house. You know how much a similar house would cost here in Alabama? A nice house in a nice part of town. You know how much that would cost?
about 8 to 1,200 a month.
Well, on a mortgage, you're going to end up paying a little bit more just because it's a mortgage, especially if it's not fixed rate. But yeah, like $1,200, maybe. And you'll have a yard. You'll have an actual backyard. You'll have a significant plot of land.
But then you have to buy a lawnmower and then all the fertilizer that goes on the lawn
Or
and
you
all
can
the
just hire
yard work.
somebody on the cheap to do it because there's plenty of people to do it here. Unlike there, where even like the cheapest landscapers are like $100 a month at least.
This is fun. I'm gonna have fun poking you with this throughout the shows.
I'm sure you will, but California is terrible. I said it, and you can hold me to it. Terrible.
I have no love connection to California at all, but yeah, this will be fun.
Well, I'm a big fan of telling people how I really feel, so there it is.
So, what big plans do you have this week as far as your witness goes? Anything in mind? I know Sunravel Me had a couple questions earlier. I don't know if you saw that about how much witnesses make and whatnot.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I also saw Negativer asking the same thing. Yeah, I'm losing money every day I have my witness up. I can't afford to pay for it, but I do have some extra money that I happen to get back from tuition, so I'm paid up for next couple of months, so at least I'll be able to run through December. After that, I'm gonna have to start paying out of pocket or find some other way to fund it. I don't want to let it go because I do think this is a very important thing, and I do like being a part of it. And I like being involved, but I'm gonna have to figure out something. I don't know. Maybe I can get a pumpkin vote. That'd be nice.
Oh, there you go. You get a pumpkin vote and you'll be set.
Forever. What about you? Do you have anything planned for Witness?
Yeah, with my little bump up, I'm now getting about 7 and sometimes 8 blocks per day. So on this next month, I'm going to upgrade to the 32 gigabytes just to be prepared for the future. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get a seed node going also.
That is awesome. That is my next step, and I will. It's between setting a seed node first if I can get to where I'm maybe not breaking even, but at least to where I can uh, uh, augment. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Where I can augment my witness rewards with my post earnings so that I can actually break even and pay for my stuff. But a seed node is, I think, the next either a seed node or upgrading to 32 gigabyte servers. I don't know which one I want to do more, but I definitely need to do both.
Uh, the way it's looking, that 32 gigabytes is going to be more useful in the near future unless you get that pumpkin vote. Uh, yeah, that's my thinking too. Before I need to make sure that I am future proof before I start adding all the extras.
Yeah, and I think that's what I'm going to do too. Is just focus on upgrading to 32 gigabytes. I really don't want to lose my backup server just because it has worked so well ever since I've set it up. I have yet to ever have any downtime. Even when my primary witness goes down for whatever reason, and it's happened once or twice. I don't know why. I didn't. I asked Privix about it. They said the server was working. I don't know. It just eventually just failed over to the other one, but it's worked like a charm. It's been fantastic, and I do not want to lose that just to be able to come under my cost.
Right, right. So Steam at Graven 29 is in. Hey, how you doing? Want to know if witnesses worry about the sorry state of Steam it? And the short answer to that is yes. That is one of the biggest conversation pieces we have is sometimes how big of a piece of shit Steam it feels like. Especially the last few weeks when they are testing out some new ways. Did you happen to see that post the other day from Ned?
No, I haven't. What post was it?
Um, it basically said, "Hey, we have some problems and we're looking at it." It was 2 sentences,
Oh, you know
and
what?
it
No,
was
I take that back. I have seen that. I have totally seen that.
and I'm thinking to myself, this is the best you can come up with. Is yeah, there's some problems. We're working at it, but here's a crappy new UI. While no one can actually use the damn thing.
Yeah. But to answer your question, Steve McGraven, that conversation, that topic comes up pretty much every day. Like every day, we talk about the problems that Steemit has and the issues that it's having, and the fact that there does not seem to be a direct response to literally anything that anybody's telling them, which bugs the ever loving crap out of all of us. Negativer. What I was referring to with the pumpkin vote, there's a user called Pumpkin, and he has a very, very significant upvote. His upvote is actually the reason why a bunch of people or a couple of people moved up in rankings significantly. Rival specifically, the guy we were talking about. So Pumpkin is just a user, and his vote is worth a lot. And that's what we were saying.
I need to see what his wallet is worth.
It's got to be significant.
I'm going to look that up here for a second. So, yeah.
You also got
do
that
this.
sweet Bernie Sanders vote. Good on you.
Yeah, I lucked into that. I'm not even sure how that happened. So, yeah, I was real happy about that. Bernie is one of those guys that is so angry at Steam It, and he's got his witness up running again.
I have, and it's funny because we've heaped on the hate on Jerry, and people have heaped on the hate on Bernie, and I have all sorts of issues with Bernie Sanders, but at the end of the day, he does do quite a bit of good. So I don't hate him all that much. I do hate him a lot, but I don't hate him all that much. If that makes sense. The hate doesn't run that deep.
All right, so I'm looking at Pumpkin's wallet, and his wallet only has 725 Steam in it. So it is proxied through some way. I'm not exactly sure who proxies through them, but there is a way for us to find out. But yeah, we need to find out because that is one large vote, and it's much more than 725 Steam. I can tell you that much.
Yeah. And I think that it seems like that account is just set up to do that. Like that's the only purpose that account serves.
And if my math is correct, Negativer, Pumpkin's vote is worth about 14 million Steam. That's how big of a vote that is.
It's fucking intense. It
Oh,
is.
it's
Excuse
it's
my language.
insanity. Absolute insanity. You see that vote and you celebrate.
All right. Well, does anybody else have any questions in the audience? Anything else you guys want to hear about, or things that you would like to know? Questions, concerns, comments, gripes, moans, complaints.
I see Kubi has made it here.
Kubi!
And then Negativer wants to know if we saw how Sneak was bashing people that were posting in comments very politely. Yeah, Sneak is Sneak, and What are your
Oh,
thoughts
Jesus.
on J.R. Cornell? What is this?
I don't know. Let's find out.
J.R. Cornell, content creator, online curator, FOMI, golf instructor, stock trader. Joined. What am I? What are my thoughts? I'm not exactly sure what my thoughts are supposed to be, Kubi. What am I
Tell us what
looking
our
at here?
thoughts are supposed to be.
Well, I tell you what, I'd like to have that. I'd like to have that witness vote when I look at the
Sure,
wallet
yeah.
here. But besides that, I don't know the person very well, Kubi, at all. No, Kubi, I certainly don't. Oh, there she's doing her coded things again. No worries. Now I have to wonder why she asked that. She's never going to let me know. I'll ask her Tuesday night.
It's a woman thing, isn't it? I hate to sound sexist, but it's a woman thing, isn't it?
I'll let you take the blame on that one.
No, no, you're Shane, and Shane is always blamed.
Oh, witness mission. Well, I'll take a look now.
Well, worthwhile checking out, and we can definitely check it out. I'm gonna take a look and see. I don't know. I'll compare notes with you, I guess.
Yeah, let's look at that and maybe come back to that next week because it's kind of hard just to do it on the fly here while I'm trying to hold down my talk button and make my computer run correctly.
Yeah. Anything else that you guys want to? Anything else that you guys want answers to, or have any questions about? Come on, I know you guys are just brimming with ideas and questions and concerns. I know I complain
They
all
do
day,
it.
every day.
They do it. I think they are a little bit behind on the audio feed, so you got to give them a minute so they can catch up to where we are. So we already know
Nonsense.
what happened.
Greatness cannot be contained.
That is so. What is going on? Do we have any questions? Going once. The Colorado. Are you familiar with Colorado law at all?
Me? No, I have no idea what's going on in Colorado.
How does creating other sites that work like Steemit benefit us? Do they take a cut from our upvotes? Could be. You should have been here for the whole show. You're asking things that we've already covered, and you can hear during the replay. Kubi, come back.
I have no idea what the Colorado question is. I'm still unfamiliar with what the issue is.
Unravel Me just wants to know if you're familiar with Colorado law at all.
No. I mean, I can be familiar with it if you'd like me to be.
Oh, son, I think I know this. If I know sort of the backstory on this just a little bit. I believe Unravel Me was getting overpaid by her job and received a notice that they were going when they did an audit, found out, um, and the job notified her that they were going to start garnishing a little bit of that to recoup the overpayment that they have done.
Oh, okay, okay. I haven't been the direct recipient of that particular action, but I know people that have had that issue, especially at the federal level. So
And
federal income tax. I mean, you declare what it is, like what it is you're going to be withholding, and then at the end of the year, when you do your tax returns, they basically give you the portion of your money back that they didn't need to take based on what you filed. It's a whole bunch of
no,
BS, but that's
no,
basically how it goes.
not taxes. I believe they were like overpaying her salary.
That sucks. I mean, you could actually have a civil claim at that point because if it's not explicitly stated in your terms of employment exactly how much you're getting paid, I mean, I think you might be able to sue them. I don't know if it would be worthwhile, but you could. I mean, you could certainly ask for an injunction to keep them from taking the money back because it was their mistake. It was their negligence that caused it.
Steve McRaven asks if Ned has posted a lot on MSTs lately, and some people say he is leaving Steemit behind to move on. Is that a possibility? I don't know Ned personally, so all of this is just completely guessing and conjuncture. I know Ned has supposedly opened an office here in Austin, and yeah, I guess that's a possibility. The way they're talking about SMTs, they want to run that through the Steemit blockchain. So I would find it hard for me to believe that he would leave Steemit if the SMTs are working through the blockchain the way I understand them to be. So yes, I guess it's a possibility, but is it probable? I don't think so.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I know Dan went to moved on from focusing on Steemit specifically and moved to working on EOS, which is another blockchain technology that's built on the Steam blockchain. I don't, I haven't heard anything about Ned moving on from something, but I don't know. I mean, it's certainly possible. I will say this: I don't see any hint of him just like taking his money and running, which a lot of people have expressed issues about. People, friends of mine that are hesitant to be on Steam, it is they constantly think, oh well, they'll just the guys that own it are just going to get rich and they're going to leave. Like, well, they could have done that a year ago, or like earlier this year when Steam was like $3 again.
I got a couple questions here to answer. Kubi wants to know how many M vests um, does one need to give you a significant jump in your witness position? And could be the answer all depends on where you are positioned. Um, for Andre right now, one about 100 megavests will jump him a couple spots. But for me, it leaves me in the same spot. So the higher you are, the more megavests you'll need to move up the rankings.
Yep,
Um,
that is correct.
Let me see here. Negativer wants to know if either of us engage in crypto buying and selling, crypto trading in general. And my quick answer on that was I did, and I think we talked about this last week. I did a lot of Bitcoin mining several years ago and lost a significant amount in the Mount Gox situation, which kind of scared me away until I discovered Steemit until I discovered Steemit. And now I'm starting to look into doing some buying and selling of crypto. But right now, I would consider myself a complete newbie, and I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs, what the differences, the pros and cons of the different coins are. So that's kind of a yes or no question for me, or yes or no answer for me.
I don't really engage in it all that much. I just use it as a basically a tool of transferring wealth. But I am thinking about getting started in not day trading because I know you can day trade, but I'm not going to be doing anything that intensive because I really just don't have the time. But I am going to start investing in other alternate cryptocurrencies, altcoins. There's a couple that have really caught my eye as far as what they're capable of doing, and I see their capacity to really explode or get some significant backing uh, moving into 2018. So I'm thinking about doing it. Oh, and who was it that asked about Sweet SSJ?
Oh yeah, I was just reading that one. Sunravel Me want to know about the drama with Ned taking back delegation they gave large whales like Sweet SSJ. I don't know of any of the fallback from that. I did see Paula G's post where Surpassing Google was the only one that was able to keep the delegation, and she was looking at all the data to see why, and it looked like he was spreading out his votes pretty well while the others were doing the so-called circle jerk. So as far as the drama goes since he undelegated, I'm unfamiliar with.
I don't know what's happened since, but I do know that uh, a number of the users, many of the users, aside from just voting for the same author together, I know for a fact Sweet was actually selling votes, and you could check her transfer logs, and that was one of the things. And I read the same post. That was one of the things that was pointed out in the post was Sweet was exchanging votes for Steam or SBD. So I think a lot of that had to do with I think a lot of Ned undelegating the SP that he delegated to all of those users has a lot to do with that. It was abused, and I'm glad that Ned was on the ball and realized what was going on and took it back. So he did take it back, Steam Agravian. It's all been undelegated except for Surpassing Google.
And from all the information, Surpassing Google was using it correctly for I guess what the intent was for. Gmux wants to know what the average airspeed velocity of a fully laden European swallow is. And my answer to that is we are not in a Monty Python sketch right now. So I'm not going to answer that.
Taking swords from bints in lakes is no foundation for a system of governance. You think you could just take a sword from a watery tod and declare yourself king?
Oh, I think help! I'm being repressed. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to put a couple of the movies on this weekend. That's a pretty good idea.
All right. Well, I think we've run over our time. But I think we can go ahead and call it here. It's been a pretty good show. I've really had a good time. What about you, Shane? Have you been happy to be here?
Yeah, I'm having a real good time, and we are ending up just as Extra Lima Being shows up. Hi, you can at least hear
Oh
this on replay.
no. Okay.
so, so yeah, yeah. No, I've had a good time. Uh, really enjoying this. So we completely winged it this week, and I think it went really well.
It did. We talked a little bit about us, a little bit about SteamEd, crypto. Basically everything that I wanted this show to do in the first place. So I'm pretty happy with that. Anything else you want to add to the show before we close it out?
No, just make sure that if you guys haven't yet, which I know pretty much everyone here in the chat is, but people that may be listening for the first time, uh, please vote our witnesses. Anarcho Andre, I'm sure you will have that spelled out in the show notes. Um, and I am SWELKER101. Please vote our witness. We would highly appreciate it.
Yes, we appreciate all the help that we can get. But with that, we'll go ahead and close out the show. Once again, this has been the State of the Witness with Andre, myself, and Shane. We'll be back on next week, Friday, from 6:30 till whenever the show finishes. Usually it's 7:30, but sometimes it's longer. And like I promised, we will have another guest on. But till then, everybody have a wonderful evening and keep steaming.
Have a good week, guys.